You're listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us again on It's a Boy and Girl Thing. I'm Christopher Smith.
This is Cece, and we're just coming back. We had a little bit of trouble beforehand, and I hope that you all are staying with us. Tonight we're talking about your online profile and how important it is when you're starting to date. The very first parts of the shows, when we first started here with Boy and Girl Thing, we talked about trying to select the right online site for you. And then we went into pictures, how important pictures are, and giving you some tips on that. And now tonight we're going to be talking about the online profile. And Kit was just mentioning he had devoted an entire chapter in his book, which is Let's Meet Our Match, regarding profiles, because it's so very, very important. And tonight we are hoping that we will have Eric Resnick, and he's from Orlando. He's with ProfileHelper.com. He's supposed to join us tonight, but I'm not sure if we're having a little bit of technical problems. But our call-in number is 323-870-4162. But we're going to go ahead and move on into the subject, and when Eric can catch up with us, then that will be great. So let's talk about these profiles. I know, I have a hard time with it because it's hard to talk about yourself. We know ourselves in and out, and we hope to think we have some good qualities we want to be able to share. But then when we're writing our profile, all we can think about is some of these negative things that keep popping into our head.
Well, you have to kind of look at it like you're creating something a little bit bigger than a business card, okay? In the sense that you're trying to give someone an overview, more precise, of you, the person that you are. You don't have to write your autobiography, and you're certainly not writing a resume. It's just when I laid out these 3 paragraphs, what would be the simplest and easiest way to do this, especially with the idea of getting started. And easiest way to do this, maybe even talk to a friend or a relative, ask them, what do they think are your most outstanding qualities? Is it your sense of humor, your attention to detail, your perseverance, your sense of humor? It just things, the first paragraph should be things about you and yourself. And then the second paragraph would be the activities that you enjoy, your interests, your hobbies, things that you like to do to occupy your free time. And then the third paragraph probably is the most serious, the most important, is what are you looking for? What type of relationship do you hope to have? What would you like to have in your relationship? And what do you bring to the relationship? And with using those as guidelines, you'll find that it's really not that hard once you kind of have an idea what to do or what to put down. I'm being told that our guest is just about to join us, and we're really looking forward to that.
Hey, Eric, this is Cece.
Hey, Cece, how are you doing? Can you hear me okay?
I'm doing. Yeah, we can hear you just fine. Thank you so much, because we're a little bit new with this platform, and bless our hearts, our listeners are kind of getting a full brunt of our inexperience here, but we're so glad to have you. This is Eric Resnick, and he is with ProfileHelper.com, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. I was just listening to you guys talk about profiles and one idea on how to format them, and it's a really good format for a lot of people. Definitely not the only way to go, but definitely one of the more successful ways to go with it. I think it's such a big thing that people fail with in online dating, and because they go onto a dating site and they've been told by the commercials of Match and eHarmony and Plenty of Fish and whoever else that pretty much you go on, you write something, and then 10 minutes later you're going to meet the love of your life. There's even an Our Time commercial where the guy on the commercial actually says, within 10 minutes, 5 women contacted me. And that's just not true. It's just not how the real world works for online dating. So,
especially if you're the guy,
Oh, absolutely.
So
it
tell
is
us,
true.
Eric, before we get into it more, tell us how did you get into doing profiles, writing profiles for a living?
I think the first time I ever did something like this, I was a 12-year-old kid at summer camp, and the guy on the bottom bunk liked the same girl as me, but I thought he was cooler than I was and that she would be better with him, so I wrote all his love letters. So that's probably the first time I ever did work like this. But I went to school and I got a degree in advertising and public relations. And then I took that and I started working for some different companies and for the government, and it wasn't really satisfying. And then someone pointed me towards online dating, and I started helping friends of mine, and I found that I could not only take some of my writing skills, but the things I learned in public relations, and help people promote themselves better on a dating site than they were doing themselves. And
exactly.
So in 2003, I took a job with Match.com for a service they were offering through a 900 number back at the time. That lasted for about a year, and then they decided they couldn't earn money off of it because it was a 900 number. And I said, I'm helping enough people with their profiles that I can do this. And so I started Profile Helper, and it's been my company ever since.
Great. That's great.
So.
And it's so needed. And like you were saying, that you'd like to share a few tips with the audience. So go ahead and do that, because I know we're all, even myself, I'm online, and so I would love to, get some of your knowledge to be able to write a decent profile.
Well, I think just the first thing from a very basic level is to erase some old word meanings from your head. People think of this as personal ads, and an ad is the worst word you can have in your head when you're doing this.
Yeah.
You don't want to seem like you're trying to sell yourself, because you can't sell yourself to somebody who doesn't want you. You can only introduce yourself to the people who do want you. You can't convince someone who doesn't that they should. And I think that in itself is one of the biggest problems with online dating is people feel like they can convince someone to give them a shot. And if compatibility was that simple, then we wouldn't need online dating. But it's not.
It's funny you say that, because one of the points I make in my book is that the sites are merely for introduction.
Exactly.
Period.
Online dating, I tell a lot of my clients, online dating is a misnomer. It should have been called online meeting or online introductions. That's
online
it.
Introductions. Yeah.
Yeah. But from a marketing standpoint, online dating sounds more catchy, and so that's what caught on.
Sure, it has more sex appeal.
Yeah. So the first thing is just to own who you are. Don't feel like you have to write something to try and convince someone. Just be who you are and focus on who you are and what you want. And a lot of the other stuff will actually fall off by the wayside. And amazingly, once you stop trying to sell yourself, automatically you're going to end up with a better profile.
Okay, are there some things that we shouldn't say in our profile?
Oh, there's lots of things you shouldn't say in your profile.
Well, anything that average people do all the time.
Well, and that actually is sort of exactly where I was going. My next tip is talking about negativity, and you can talk about negativity without even talking about negativity, which sounds a little weird, but bear with me. There's the people, and you'll read profiles like this where they'll talk about the things they don't want, or they'll mention things about their exes directly.
This is one of my pet peeves. Go for it, Eric.
It's a main thing that people do, and look, everyone has. If you've made it past the age of 3, you're going to have some baggage. How you carry that baggage is what's going to say a lot about you. So, along with being careful to just not be outright negative, and to make sure that you focus on the things you do want in a relationship as opposed to things you don't want when you're putting your profile out there, it's important to watch out for stealth baggage. And this is when you find yourself asking for things that sound really good on the surface and that nobody could ever argue against, but that also nobody would ever ask for the opposite of. There's no reason to have to ask for an honest person unless you have trust issues. because you've been lied to.
Yeah.
Honesty is expected. Unless you're on maybe an OkCupid or a Tinder, but if you're on a Match or an eHarmony or an Our Time or even a Plenty of Fish, Plenty of Fish sort of goes back and forth as far as intent because it doesn't have the paywall as a barrier of intent. But just be careful. So honesty is the example I was meant to say there was I'm looking for a one-woman guy, or I'm looking for a monogamous relationship. These aren't sites geared towards the swinging community or the polyamory community. Basically, you can almost guarantee that somebody who is writing that in their profile is tipping their hat to the fact that they've been cheated on. So when you look through your profile, if you find that you are asking for qualifications that every human should have to be considered decent, take them out.
Yeah, that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. It's just a bunch of fluff. And I have to admit, Eric, when I'm reading some of those profiles, when I see that stuff in there, I think, what do they think I'm going to be dishonest, or maybe you are dishonest, which is why you put it forward as something. Well, so I do. I mean, I kind of go back and think, wait a minute. Yeah.
I see so many men talking about what a nice guy in their profile they are, and I ask them when I'm looking over one of their profiles, I say, how awful are you that you have to try and convince someone that you're nice? What did you do that you're trying to cover up? If you're a nice guy, just be a nice guy. When I was in high school in the early 90s, I'm 39 now, and the goth thing was really big. And there were two types of people who were considered goths. There were the people who would tell you they were goths, and there are the people who were goths and never talked about it. You knew the ones were real because they never talked about it. The ones who talked about it all the time were the posers. So it's like, if you're the guy always saying, I'm the nice guy, you're trying to convince yourself more than anyone else. Or you're trying to sell yourself based on what you think people want to hear. And we already covered, just a bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I tell you what, let's take a quick break. I just want to thank Blog Talk Radio for having us on tonight. This is Boy and Girl Thing with Cece Schatz and
Christopher T. Kit-Smith.
Yes, and you also have a station called WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. We do play Boy and Girl Thing on that station also. So, well, welcome back to the show. And the first part of the show, we kind of talked a little bit about some do's and don'ts with Eric Resnick. He is from Orlando. He has a site called profilehelper.com. And welcome back to the show, Eric.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Profile Helper, I've started that company back in 2004. I've helped over 10,000 people since we first started the company. And it's been truly amazing. We've had people get married. We've had people who just got back into dating after 20, 30 years, just who didn't know how to do it, needed a helping hand. Really every background of person, gender, creed, religion, preference. We've really been able to help a lot of people. It's been a great experience so far.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And you also have some different services, too. You have just the makeover, the online dating profile makeover. So if someone needs a little bit of help, if they need a lot of help, you have that. You have also an essay-based profile creation.
Yeah, well, our makeover service is really, it's for people who just sort of need a spit and polish, just to sort of tune things up a little bit. Things are going pretty well, but they think they can go even better. We help them. We go over their profile. We fix any spelling, grammatical errors. We fix anything with the flow. We remove stuff that shouldn't be in the profile, or we help smooth out the language so things really come across as positively as possible. And that's great for people who are in the dating thing already. For people just starting out or people who want a fresh start, we have two different main services. We have our essay-based creation package, where we've put together this series of essay questions over the past decade that we ask our clients in this service, and then we just ask them to give us everything they can, just fill out as much information as possible. And then me and my team, we take the client's words and we build them a profile that's using their words that helps best represent them. Because it's not about trying to make someone seem better or help get someone a match that we think would be good for them. It's about helping represent someone honestly and positively so they can attract someone who's compatible with them. For the people who either just don't like writing things down or who need extra help with things like strategy, how to use the dating sites, how to write emails, things like that, we have what we call the premium profile creation package, which is an hour to 90-minute consultation with me, where we sit down, we talk about what site you want to be on, if it's the right site for you. We go over your photos. We talk about your strategy and what you can do to improve the way you're using the sites. And then we talk about who you are and what you're looking for. And I take the notes from that conversation, again, using your words, and I write a new profile for you that way as well.
I think it's great what you do. Yeah, I think it's super what you do. Now, your site, again, is profilehelper.com, and they can reach you by 888-447-7634. So that's 888-447-7634. So they can just give you a call and connect with you. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And as far as, yes, definitely, it's profilehelper.com. When we started the company, I didn't want to try and be clever. I felt, what can I do to tell people I want to help them with their profiles? Came up with Profile Helper.
Yeah. Now, Eric, you were saying that you're having a blog that's coming out probably tomorrow, I think, and it talks about the online dating sites. Tell us just briefly about that, and I know that we'll all want to read that one. So tell us a little bit about it, and then how can we find the blog?
Well, it'll be on the blog section of profilehelper.com. And then there'll be a link to it on our Facebook page later in the day, I'm sure, as well. But basically, dating sites are businesses. They're a lot like gyms. A gym doesn't really care if you get fit and trim. They care if you keep your membership active.
Exactly.
Dating sites, yeah.
And I take this one step further. This has been a discussion I've had several times when I've talked about my book, and that is, I'll go to the point of saying the dating sites almost hope you don't find anyone. Now, they're never ever going to come out and say that, but what business do you know of that wants to have their customers leave and never come back?
My business, actually. My business is all about having you leave and never come back, hopefully happy. But most dating sites, I'll agree with you up to a point. What it is this. According to different executives I've spoken to in the dating industry, the cost of acquisition of a new customer on a dating site has risen to the point where that person needs to be a paying member for about 90 days for the dating site to break even on them. So that's the main reason they need to, for them to even break even, you've got to pay them for 90 days. If you find the love of your life in a week, that's not going to happen. And there's all sorts of different things that they do to sort of push you towards, I'm not going to say straight up they don't want you to succeed as a whole, because if they didn't have their success stories, they would have nothing driving their marketing. And they need people to eventually find happiness.
What I believe drives their marketing as much as anything else is the desire for companionship, maybe one of the most powerful emotions we possess as human beings.
Oh, I don't disagree with that.
They have a captive audience.
But when you've got an industry that has a customer satisfaction ranking that some experts put as low as 17 or 20%, you need those success stories to drive the word of mouth. You need someone to know that their cousin or their sister or their brother or their stepmother, their best friend, or even the person 3 cubicles down from them met someone on Match or eHarmony or probably not Zeus, but
please don't misunderstand me. I don't have a negative attitude about the dating sites. I just try to look at it from a logical and practical and common sense point of view. So I've met some great people, met some great friends.
Oh no, I'm engaged to a woman who I met on a dating site. I mean, so there's definite value, but I will agree with you. Absolutely. I mean, a dating site is a business. They're not a charity. They have to earn their money. Sites like Plenty of Fish do it by ad revenue. Sites like eHarmony do it by getting you to fill out a 314-question personality test and sucking you in so heavily from an emotional standpoint that there's an exponentially higher chance you'll subscribe. Match do it through more traditional marketing. I mean, there's any number of ways they do it, but once you're on there, what they do with you is they do actively put roadblocks in your way that you can find your way around. You know, they put a lot of matches in front of you on any site, be it a site like that feeds you matches like eHarmony, or a site like where you search for matches like OkCupid or Plenty of Fish or Match. They put a lot of matches in front of you who have not been active recently. So you have to be proactive on your own side and make sure you're using the sort tools that are there, but aren't usually a default feature.
Absolutely, Eric. Hate to break it out because it's going so good and we're getting such good information, but that's what we're here for on Boy and Girl Thing, is to help everyone, get further ahead on the online dating, hopefully meet the match of their dreams and know what to do afterwards. So I love what you do, Eric. I thank you so much for being on the show today. And
Thanks for having me.
Eric. Oh, it's great. Eric Resnick. He's with ProfileHelper.com. His number is 888-447-7634. Tell you what, this is CC Shaft. And, if you can, please go to our Facebook page, Boy and Girl Thing page, Facebook page. We need likes on it. So if you're listening to the show, please come and join us and like our Facebook page so we can build that up. And anything you want to say in closing?
Eric was great. Really glad we had a chance to have him on the show. Maybe someday, Eric, down the road, we'll bump into one another. I'd love to sit and talk with you face to face. This is a very intriguing topic.
Absolutely. We're not that far away.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, I tell you what, we're going to be right here, same time, same place, and we hope that you will join us again on Boy and Girl Thing. This is CC Shad.
And this is Christopher T. Kit Smith.
And our goal is to hopefully get you through the online dating with much success and with ease. And I want to thank you again, Eric, for being on the show.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. And I hope you will join us on our Facebook page. Connect with us on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. That's www.goingsolonetwork.com. Join us there. 24/7 shows for you. Bye for now.
You're listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.
The all-new Seven Seas Food Festival is here at SeaWorld. The only place where you can treat your taste buds to an international celebration of flavor while treating your ears to live performances every Saturday, now through May 13th, with appearances by Leonard Skinner, Lee Bryce, Bill Engvall, and more. The all-new Seven Seas Food Festival, another real amazing reason to visit SeaWorld. Now get a SeaWorld annual pass and get Aquatica free. Taxes and service fees may apply. Offer expires May 14th, 2017. Event details subject to change and or cancellation without notice.